The house on Aurora Drive had been empty for 3 years. Sean Mitchell stood in the overgrown front yard, hands in his jacket pockets, studying the peeling paint and sagging porch. The realtor had called it a project with potential. Sean called it exactly what he needed, a distraction big enough to fill the hollow spaces grief had carved into his life. "Dad, it looks like a haunted house," Jason said from beside him. His 10-year-old son clutched his backpack straps, eyes wide beneath his baseball cap. "It's not haunted, buddy, just neglected." Sean ruffled Jason's hair. Sometimes things just need someone to care about them again. The words caught in his throat. Wasn't that what he was trying to do? Care again? 2 years since Laura's car accident, and he still woke up reaching for her side of the bed. Still set out 2 coffee mugs before remembering. Still heard her laugh in rooms she'd never entered. The grief counselor had suggested a project, something to pour himself into, something physical, concrete, fixable. Because Sean couldn't fix what mattered most, couldn't bring back his wife, couldn't erase the confusion in Jason's eyes when he asked why Mom wasn't coming home, couldn't rebuild the future they'd planned together. But he could rebuild a house. "Can I pick my room?" Jason asked, a spark of interest breaking through his usual quietness. "You can pick any room you want." They walked through the front door together, and the smell of dust and old wood embraced them. The house creaked under their footsteps like it was waking from a long sleep. Wallpaper curled at the edges, floorboards groaned, light filtered through dirty windows, casting everything in amber. But beneath the neglect, Sean saw something else. Crown molding with intricate details, original hardwood floors, a built-in bookshelf that just needed love. The bones were good. The heart was still there, waiting. "This place is huge," Jason whispered, his voice echoing through empty rooms. They explored together, Sean making mental notes of everything that needed attention. New roof, electrical update, plumbing repairs, kitchen renovation. The list grew longer with each room, but instead of feeling overwhelmed, Sean felt something he hadn't experienced in months: purpose. Jason chose the bedroom upstairs with a window seat overlooking the backyard. Sean stood in the doorway, watching his son trace patterns in the dust on the windowsill, and felt his chest tighten. Laura would have loved this room. She would have already been planning curtains and picking paint colors, her eyes bright with possibility. "What do you think, buddy? Want to help me fix this place up?" Jason turned, and for the first time in weeks, Sean saw a real smile on his son's face. Yeah, I do." They started the next weekend. Sean had taken a leave from his accounting job, using savings and Laura's life insurance, money that felt heavy with sorrow every time he thought about it. But this was for Jason, for both of them. A way to build something together when so much had been taken away. The first month was demolition. They tore out water-damaged drywall, pulled up ruined carpet, stripped away decades of amateur repairs. It was satisfying work, destructive but necessary. Sometimes Sean swung the sledgehammer harder than he needed to, letting anger and grief flow through his arms into the walls. Jason worked beside him, quieter but determined, as if he understood that breaking things down was the first step to building them back up. They fell into a rhythm. Breakfast together, work on the house, lunch from the deli down the street, more work, dinner, homework, bedtime stories in their cramped rental apartment. And slowly, conversation began to return to their relationship. Real conversation, not just the functional exchanges of damaged people going through motions. "Dad, why did Mom have to die?" Jason asked one night, 3 months into the renovation. Sean had been sanding a door frame. He stopped, his hand still on the sandpaper, and took a breath. "I don't know, buddy. Sometimes bad things happen and there's no good reason. It's not fair and it hurts, and we miss her every single day. The kids at school say we should be over it by now." Sean set down his tools and knelt beside his son. "Grief doesn't have a timeline, Jason. Anyone who tells you different doesn't understand. We're allowed to miss her for as long as we need to. Forever, if that's what it takes. Jason's eyes filled with tears. I'm scared I'll forget her voice. Then we'll watch videos. We'll look at pictures. We'll tell stories about her until you're sick of hearing them. Sean pulled his son close. She's still with us, buddy. In here. He tapped Jason's chest. Always. They held each other in that half-renovated house, two people trying to rebuild themselves brick by brick, room by room. 4 months in, they tackled the upstairs bathroom. It was small, outdated, with cracked tiles and a rusted shower head. Sean had been putting it off because plumbing intimidated him, but Jason's birthday was approaching, and he wanted to have at least one functioning bathroom in the house before they officially moved in. He started with the floor tiles, carefully prying up the old ceramic. Most came up easily, brittle with age, but one tile near the toilet wouldn't budge. Sean worked at it carefully, not wanting to crack the surrounding tiles. When it finally lifted, it revealed something underneath. A letter. Not just any letter, a sealed envelope, yellowed with time, addressed in careful handwriting. To whoever finds this, please read. Sean sat back on his heels, staring at it. His heart kicked up for reasons he couldn't explain. There was something about the careful way it had been hidden, the deliberate placement beneath a tile that would eventually come loose. "Jason," he called down the stairs. "Come here a minute." His son appeared in the doorway, curiosity replacing the boredom that had settled over him while Sean worked on the tedious tile removal. "What is it?" "I found something. A letter. Hidden under the floor." Jason's eyes went wide. "Open it." Sean carefully broke the seal, his hands steadier than he expected. Inside were several pages, the handwriting neat and measured, dated 15 years ago. He began to read aloud. "If you're reading this, then someone finally bought this house. Someone finally cared enough to fix what I broke. My name is Margaret Chen, and I lived here for 43 years. This was my family home, the place where I raised my daughter, buried my husband, and eventually lost everything that mattered. I'm writing this because I need to confess something. I need to apologize to someone, even if I never know who that someone is. Even if they never understand what this house meant, what I did here, what I lost. 22 years ago, my daughter Emily left home. We had a terrible fight, the kind that cuts so deep you don't know if it will ever heal. She wanted to marry a man I disapproved of. I said things, cruel things, things a mother should never say. She left that night and didn't come back. I was stubborn, proud. I thought she would apologize first. I thought she would realize I was right. But months passed, then years. I heard through neighbors that she'd married him anyway, that they'd moved out west, that they were happy. That last part hurt the most. She was happy without me. 10 years after she left, she tried to reach out. She sent me a letter, a beautiful, vulnerable letter about wanting to rebuild our relationship, about wanting me to meet my grandchildren, 2 of them, a boy and a girl I'd never even seen. I wrote back immediately. I poured my heart into that response. I apologized for everything. I told her I was wrong, that I was sorry, that I wanted her back in my life more than anything. I told her about her father's passing, about how empty this house felt without family. I told her I loved her, that I'd always loved her, even in my anger. I sealed that letter. I put a stamp on it. I carried it to the mailbox at the end of Aurora Drive. But I never mailed it. I stood there with my hand on the mailbox lid, and suddenly I was terrified. What if she rejected me? What if my apology wasn't enough? What if she read my words and decided I didn't deserve forgiveness? So I brought the letter back home. I told myself I'd mail it tomorrow. Then tomorrow became next week became next month, and then one day I received a call. Emily was gone. Cancer. 37 years old. She'd been sick for 6 months and never told me. Her husband, That man I'd hated for no good reason said she'd asked about me near the end. Wondered if I'd received her letter. Wondered if I'd ever loved her at all. I had loved her. God, I had loved her so much. But I never told her. I never sent my letter. I let pride and fear destroy the most important relationship in my life. After the funeral, which I attended but was too ashamed to speak at, I came home to this empty house. I took that unsent letter, the one that could have changed everything, and I sealed it in a waterproof bag. I hid it beneath this loose bathroom tile, the one that's been wobbling for years. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I hoped that someday someone would find it. Someone who could learn from my mistakes. Someone who could understand that time isn't infinite, that tomorrow isn't guaranteed, that the people we love deserve to hear it while they're still here to listen. I'm 81 years old now. My health is failing. This house, the house where I was supposed to grow old surrounded by family, has become a monument to my regret. I'm selling it. I can't live here anymore, surrounded by the ghost of what could have been. But I'm leaving this letter. Both letters, actually. Mine is here too, still sealed, still unsent. The words Emily will never read. If you're reading this, you're probably here to fix this broken house. You probably see all the things that need repair. But let me tell you something. Houses can be fixed. Relationships can't always be rebuilt once they're destroyed. Time can't be reclaimed once it's gone. So whoever you are, whatever brought you to Aurora Drive, whatever you're running from or trying to fix, don't make my mistake. Don't let fear keep you from saying the things that matter. Don't assume you'll have more time. Don't let pride steal your chance at forgiveness. Life is shorter than you think. Love is rarer than you hope. And sometimes, the only thing standing between you and healing is your own stubborn heart. I hope this house brings you more joy than it brought me. I hope you fill it with laughter and warmth and all the things I couldn't. I hope you never have to hide a letter beneath a loose tile, waiting for a second chance that will never come. With regret and hope, Margaret Chen. Sean's voice cracked on the last words. He looked down at the pages in his hands, then at the second envelope that had been sealed inside the waterproof bag. Margaret's unsent letter to her daughter. Words of love and apology that had traveled nowhere, hidden beneath a bathroom floor for 15 years. Jason was crying silently beside him. Sean pulled him close, his own tears falling freely now. "Dad," Jason whispered, "she never sent it. She never told her daughter she was sorry." "No, buddy, she didn't." They sat together on that bathroom floor for a long time, surrounded by broken tiles and exposed subfloor, holding a stranger's regret in their hands. That night, Sean couldn't sleep. He lay in bed in their rental apartment, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Margaret Chen, about her daughter Emily, about unsent letters and wasted time, and all the words we swallow because we're afraid. He thought about Laura, about how they'd been good at saying "I love you," but not always good at the harder conversations. About the argument they'd had the morning of her accident, something stupid about whose turn it was to grocery shop. He'd been annoyed. She'd been frustrated. They hadn't resolved it before she left. Her last words to him had been, "Fine, whatever, Sean. I'll do it myself. Not, I love you. Not, see you tonight." Just irritation and resignation. And then she was gone. He'd carried that guilt for 2 years. The knowledge that their last interaction had been a petty argument about groceries, that he'd never gotten to say the real things, how much he appreciated her, how she made him a better person, how grateful he was that she'd chosen him, how sorry he was for being difficult that morning. But lying there in the dark, Sean realized something. Margaret Chen's tragedy wasn't just that she never sent the letter. It was that she let that failure define the rest of her life. She'd turned her house into a shrine to regret. She'd allowed one mistake, one moment of fear to hollow out all her remaining years. He didn't have to do that. Laura was gone, and yes, their last conversation had been an argument. But that didn't erase 13 years of love. It didn't invalidate every "I love you" they'd exchanged, every difficulty they'd weathered together, every moment of joy they'd shared. Their relationship wasn't defined by one bad morning. It was defined by choosing each other, over and over, through sickness and health, through good times and hard times. And more importantly, Jason was still here. Sean's son was still here, still needed him, still deserved a father who wasn't paralyzed by guilt and grief, who could model not just how to mourn, but how to heal, how to keep living, keep loving, keep being present even when it hurt. Margaret Chen had lost her chance with Emily. That was real and tragic and irreversible. But Sean still had his chance with Jason. He got out of bed and walked to Jason's room. His son was awake, staring at the ceiling just like Sean had been. "Can't sleep either?" Sean asked softly, thinking about that letter. Sean sat on the edge of Jason's bed. "Me too. Dad, do you think Mrs. Chen went to heaven, even though she never sent the letter?" Sean considered this carefully. "I think she made a mistake, a big one. But I also think she spent the rest of her life regretting it, and that matters. She left that letter for us to find. She tried, in her own way, to make sure her mistake could help someone else. That's worth something." "I wish she'd been braver," Jason said quietly. "I wish she'd just mailed it." "Me too, buddy. Me too." Sean took a breath. "But you know what? We can be braver. We can learn from her mistake. We can say the things that need to be said while we still have time." Jason turned to look at him. "Like what?" "Like, I'm sorry for how quiet I've been since Mom died. I know you've been hurting too, and sometimes I've been so lost in my own grief that I haven't been there for you the way I should have been. Dad, and I need you to know that you're the best thing in my life. The best thing that ever happened to me and your mom. You're smart and kind and so much stronger than I was at your age. I'm proud of you every single day." Jason's lip trembled. "I thought you were sad because I wasn't enough, because I couldn't make you happy like Mom did." Sean's heart broke all over again. He pulled his son into a fierce embrace. "Oh, Jason, no, never. You are more than enough. You're everything. I've been sad because grief is sad, because missing someone you love hurts. But you, buddy, you're the reason I get up every morning. You're the reason I'm still here, still trying. You're my reason for everything." They held each other and cried, really cried, the kind of crying they'd both been holding back for months, the kind that breaks something open so healing can finally begin. "I miss Mom so much," Jason sobbed into Sean's shoulder. "I know. I miss her too. And that's okay. We're allowed to miss her, but we're also allowed to keep living, to keep being happy, to keep loving each other and building new things. Mom would want that for us." "How do you know?" "Because she loved us." And when you love someone, you want them to be happy, even when you can't be there to see it. They talked until nearly dawn. Sean told stories about Laura, the real stories, not just the sanitized memories. He told Jason about the time she'd burned dinner so badly the smoke alarm went off and they'd ended up eating cereal for dinner, laughing hysterically. About how she sang off-key in the shower and couldn't parallel park to save her life. About how she'd been terrified of spiders but fearless about everything else. About how she'd made mistakes, had bad days, got frustrated with them both sometimes, because she was human, gloriously and completely human. And in telling these stories, Sean realized he was giving Jason something precious. Permission to remember Laura as she really was, not as a perfect saint, but as a real person who had loved them imperfectly and wholly. "There's something else I need to tell you," Sean said as dawn light began filtering through the window. "About the house. about why we're really fixing it up. Jason waited. When Mom died, I felt broken. Like there was this huge crack running through the middle of me, and I didn't know how to fix it. The grief counselor said I needed a project, but it's more than that. I needed to prove to myself that broken things can be made whole again. That damage doesn't have to be permanent. Is it working? Sean considered this. Yeah, I think it is. Not because the house is getting fixed, but because I'm learning something. You can't always fix what's broken. Sometimes things stay broken, but you can build something new alongside the brokenness. You can create beauty even when there's still pain. Like us. Exactly like us. We're never going to stop missing Mom. That pain might always be there, but we can build a good life anyway. A different life than we planned, but still a good one. Jason nodded slowly, processing. Then, Dad, can we do something? Anything. Can we finish Mrs. Chen's letter? Not send it. We can't do that. But can we finish what she started? Can we write to her daughter somehow? Sean was confused. Buddy, her daughter passed away. We can't. No, I mean, what if Emily had kids? The letter said she did. 2 grandchildren. What if we could find them? What if we could give them their grandmother's letter? So they know she was sorry. So they know she loved their mom. Sean stared at his son, amazed. Here was this 10-year-old boy, still deep in his own grief, thinking about strangers and their unfinished business. Thinking about healing wounds that weren't even his own. That's a beautiful idea, Jason. I don't know if we can find them, but we can try. Over the next few weeks, Sean became a detective in his spare time. He started with the property records, tracing Margaret Chen's sale of the house 15 years ago. He found her obituary. She'd passed away 8 years after leaving Aurora Drive, in a nursing home across town. The obituary mentioned she was predeceased by her daughter Emily Chen Morrison. Emily Chen Morrison. Now they had a full name. Sean searched online, finding Emily's obituary from 22 years ago. There they were, survived by her husband Daniel Morrison and children Sophie and Luke Morrison. More searching, social media, public records, a trail of digital breadcrumbs that painted a picture. Daniel had remarried, the kids had grown up. Sophie was now a teacher in Portland. Luke worked in Boston, something with computers. But how to reach out? What do you say? Hi, I'm a stranger who bought your grandmother's house and found a letter she meant to send your mom 2 decades ago. Sean agonized over it for days. Then Jason said something that made it simple. Just tell them the truth. So Sean did. He wrote to both Sophie and Luke Morrison, explaining everything. The house, the renovation, the loose tile, the letters, their grandmother's regret. He scanned Margaret's confession and included it, along with her sealed letter to Emily. He told them he didn't expect a response, but he wanted them to have what their grandmother had wanted their mother to have. Words of love and apology. Arriving too late, but arriving nonetheless. He sent the emails and tried not to hope too hard. 3 days later, Sophie Morrison called him. She was crying before she even introduced herself. Mr. Mitchell? This is Sophie Morrison. Thank you. Thank you so much for reaching out. Sean's hand trembled holding the phone. I'm so glad I found you. I'm sorry it took so long. I'm sorry your grandmother never... Please don't apologize, Sophie interrupted gently. You didn't do anything wrong. You gave us a gift. You have no idea what this means. She explained that she and her brother had grown up knowing their mother had been estranged from her family, but they'd never known why. Their father rarely spoke about it, and when he did, he painted Margaret Chen as cold and unforgiving. They'd grown up believing their grandmother hadn't cared about them at all. But this letter, Sophie said, her voice breaking. Reading her words, seeing how much she regretted it, knowing she wanted to know us. It changes everything. It doesn't fix what happened, but it helps. It really helps. They talked for over an hour. Sophie told him about Emily, a warm, creative woman who taught art and never quite healed from the rift with her mother, about how Emily had tried to reach out, had held on to hope for years, had been devastated when Margaret never responded. "My mom died thinking her mother didn't love her," Sophie said quietly. "And all this time, there was a letter, an apology, just sitting there, hidden away. I'm so sorry." "No, please. What I'm trying to say is, you're finding this, you're caring enough to track us down. It gives us a different ending to the story. Not the one Mom got to have, but one we can have. We can know that our grandmother loved her, that she was sorry. That matters more than you know." Before they hung up, Sophie asked about the house, about what Sean was doing with it. "Fixing it up, making it a home again. My son and I, we're trying to rebuild too. Different kind of broken, but still. I'm so sorry about your wife. Thank you. It's been hard. But this house, this project, it's helping. And finding your grandmother's letter, it taught me something important." "What's that?" "That we don't get unlimited time. That the things we need to say should be said now. That regret is heavier than almost any other burden we can carry." Sophie was quiet for a moment. Then, "Mr. Mitchell, would it be okay if my brother and I came to visit? We'd love to see the house, to see where our grandmother lived." "Where she hid those letters?" "Of course. Any time. The place is still a mess, but you're welcome whenever you want to come." They came 3 weeks later. Sophie and Luke Morrison stood in the Aurora Drive driveway, looking up at the house with expressions Sean recognized: grief, curiosity, and something that might have been hope. They were in their mid-30s, both carrying the quiet grace of people who'd survived loss and kept moving forward. Sean and Jason welcomed them inside. The house was transformed from when Sean had first seen it. Walls repaired, floors refinished, fresh paint brightening every room. But the upstairs bathroom was still incomplete, the tile work unfinished. Sean had left it that way deliberately, wanting them to see where their grandmother's message had been hidden. They gathered there together, 4 people connected by chance and renovation, and a letter that had traveled nowhere for 15 years before finally finding its destination. "She sat right here," Luke said softly, kneeling where the loose tile had been. "She wrote that letter and hid it right here, and then she just left." "She was scared," Sophie said. "That's what comes through in every word. She was terrified of being rejected again." "But if she'd just tried," Luke said, frustration clear in his voice, "if she'd just taken the risk, then maybe it would have worked out, or maybe not." Sophie touched her brother's shoulder. "We don't know how Mom would have responded. Maybe she was still too hurt. Maybe Margaret's apology wouldn't have been enough at that point. We'll never know." "But they would have had a chance," Jason said quietly from beside Sean. Everyone turned to look at him. "My mom died in a car accident. We didn't get to say goodbye. But at least the last time I saw her, I told her I loved her. At least we had that. Mrs. Chen and her daughter didn't even get that." Sophie's eyes filled with tears. "You're right. You're absolutely right." They spent the afternoon together sharing stories. Sophie and Luke told them about Emily, her artwork, her laughter, her endless patience with her children. Sean told them about Margaret's confession, about the weight of regret that had colored her final years. Jason, surprisingly, talked about his own mother, sharing memories with an openness that made Sean's heart swell with pride. Before they left, Sophie pulled Sean aside. "I want to ask you something. It might be strange." "Ask anything." "When you finish the bathroom, when you put down new tiles, would you consider placing something underneath one of them? A letter from Luke and me to our grandmother. Words we never got to say to her. Not as sad as hers, but I don't know. It feels right." like we'd be answering her across time, telling her we understand, that we forgive her. Sean felt tears prick his eyes. I think that's perfect. I think she'd love that. And maybe, Sophie continued, maybe you and Jason could include something too. A letter to your wife, or to each other. Something about what this house has meant to you, what rebuilding has taught you. Sean looked at Jason, who was listening intently. His son nodded. We'd be honored. 2 weeks later, Sean laid the final tiles in the upstairs bathroom. Beneath one of them, sealed in waterproof bags, were 3 letters. The first was from Sophie and Luke Morrison to their grandmother, Margaret. Dear Grandma Margaret, we never got to know you, but now we understand you better. We forgive you. We wish things had been different, but we don't blame you for being human, for being afraid, for making a mistake you couldn't undo. Mom loved you. She wished for reconciliation until the very end. We think she'd be happy knowing that eventually your words found us. Thank you for trying, even if it was too late. Thank you for leaving us this piece of her story. You were loved more than you knew. With understanding, Sophie and Luke. The second was from Jason to Laura. Dear Mom, I'm 10 now. You've been gone for 2 years. I still miss you every day, but it doesn't hurt as much as it used to. Dad and I are fixing up this old house, and it's teaching me that broken things can be beautiful again if you work hard enough. I want you to know that I'm okay. Dad's okay too. We take care of each other. I think you'd be proud of us. I'll always love you. Your son, Jason. The third was from Sean. To whoever finds these letters someday. My name is Sean Mitchell. I bought this house 2 years after losing my wife. I thought I was here to fix walls and floors and broken windows, but really, I was here to learn something Margaret Chen tried to teach across time, that life is too short for unsaid words, that fear of rejection is nothing compared to the weight of regret, that the people we love deserve to know it, today, not tomorrow. This house healed us, me and my son, not because we made it perfect, but because we rebuilt it together, because we learned that you can live with broken pieces and still create something whole. If you're reading this, I hope you're happy here. I hope this house gives you what it gave us, a second chance, not to undo the past, but to build a better future. Don't wait to say the things that matter. Don't hide your love beneath floorboards. Don't assume you'll have more time. You won't regret the risks you take on love. You'll only regret the ones you don't. With hope, Sean Mitchell. Sean pressed the final tile into place, sealing the letters beneath. Jason knelt beside him, and together they smoothed the grout, making everything level and clean and new. Think anyone will ever find them? Jason asked. Maybe, maybe not. But they're there if someone needs them. Like Mrs. Chen's was there for us. Exactly like that. They finished the bathroom that day, then the kitchen, then the bedrooms, the living room, the front porch. Room by room, the house came back to life, and room by room, so did they. 6 months after finding Margaret's letter, Sean and Jason moved into the house on Aurora Drive. Their first night there, they sat on the newly refinished front porch, watching the sun set over their street. The house glowed warm behind them, lights on in every window. Dad, Jason said, I think I'm ready to be happy again. Sean pulled his son close. Me too, buddy. Me too. Do you think Mom would be okay with that? I think she'd be furious with us if we weren't. Sean smiled, remembering Laura's fierce love, her insistence that life was for living fully. She'd tell us to stop being dramatic and go do something fun. Jason laughed. A real laugh. The kind Sean hadn't heard in too long. She totally would. They sat in comfortable silence as the street lights flickered on one by one. Neighbors walked past, waving. A couple doors down, kids played in a yard, life continuing, moving forward, making space for joy alongside grief. "Hey, Dad?" "Yeah?" "Thank you for buying this house, for fixing it with me, for everything." Sean's throat tightened. "Thank you for being patient with me while I figured out how to keep going, for being brave when I couldn't be, for teaching me that it's okay to heal." "We're going to be okay, aren't we?" "Yeah, Jason. We're going to be more than okay." And sitting there on the porch of the house that had held Margaret Chen's regrets and their own renewal, Sean believed it. They would carry Laura with them always, in memories, in love, in the way she'd shaped who they were. But they would also keep living, keep loving, keep saying the things that mattered while there was still time. Because that's what Margaret Chen had really left them beneath that loose tile. Not just her story, but a choice. To live with regret or to live with courage. To hide love away or to speak it freely. To let fear win or to let hope guide them forward. Sean chose hope. He chose to believe that broken things could be made beautiful. That loss didn't have to be the end of the story. That a father and son working together to rebuild an old house could also rebuild themselves. The house on Aurora Drive wasn't haunted after all. It was blessed. By the woman who'd lived there and learned her lesson too late. By the family who'd found forgiveness across generations. By a father and son who'd discovered that the work of healing happens one room, one day, one brave word at a time. And somewhere, Sean liked to think, Margaret Chen and Laura and Emily were watching, satisfied that their legacies weren't pain and regret, but the lessons learned from both. The courage that comes from seeing clearly what happens when we wait too long and choosing instead to love boldly, speak honestly, and never let another day pass without telling the people who matter most exactly how we feel. The lights of Aurora Drive glowed in the dusk. Inside the house, everything was ready. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new joys, new moments to navigate. But tonight, Sean and Jason simply sat together, whole in their broken places, home at last. Thank you for watching this story. If it touched your heart, if it reminded you of something you need to say or someone you need to reach out to, take this as your sign. Don't wait. Don't let fear or pride or the assumption of endless tomorrows keep you from the words that matter. Where are you watching this from? What lesson did this story teach you, or what did it make you feel? Drop a comment below. I read every single one, and your thoughts often inspire the next story. If this story moved you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Every subscription helps these stories reach more people who might need them, who might be sitting on their own unsent letter, who might need permission to heal. Until the next story, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Say the things that matter while there's still time.